I do indeed, yes.
There is number 1. This is Bit of Magic with Lester Piggott in the saddle. Lester doing somewhere near his lightest weight, 8 stone 6, and now he's had to deprive that 5'7" frame to get down to that weight. Was not disgraced when beaten just over a length by Night Duty. That was in a listed race at Newmarket on his last start 11 days ago, and on that form Julian wouldn't be out of it, would he?
No, that was a good run. There's a line through to Paris House, through Par Lake, and you've got to say he's got a bit to find with Par Lake, but he was giving £5 to the others that day in the Chesterfield Stakes, and that was a good run. Leicester decided to hold him up that day, and I think it was probably the right thing to do, and certainly there'd be no point in taking on the speed horses in today's race.
Fair Crack's leading him down. This is one of the Richard Hannon trains runners. One of the 3, in fact, trained by Richard Hannon. Could prove the best of the trio. His 1 win was achieved here at Newbury in April when he ran on well to beat Ice Knight by half a length. Bruce Raymond rode him that day, and Michael Roberts takes over on him here.
And he was back from 25 to 1 down to 14 to 1 in the office this morning to step up considerably on his run last Saturday when he finished only 5th to changing times. That race was the first time he'd run since that win at Newbury. The favourite going down nicely there, Jimmy, this grey son of Patong, and I would think Patong's stock will be much in demand at the Doncaster Sales this week, and it's Doncaster Sales, one of the 4 companies purchased through which qualified runners in this race, the others being Tattersall's Limited, Tattersall's Ireland and Goffs.
Jack Berry, who trains Paris House, in fact has 2 other runners, as you were saying, Bit of Magic and also Diamond Mine, and in fact the 3 of them have won no less than 11 races between them, Julian, which is no mean feat. Jack Berry, 103 winners to his credit this season.
And John Carroll's in terrific form. A treble yesterday brought his total to 65. He's now targeting for the first time in his career 100 winners. He bids to become the first Northern rider since Edward Hyde to achieve that feat. This horse looks the part today. Stalls once again in the centre. The favourite is drawn 2 towards the right. I would think, as in the last race, they'd come down the centre of the course. This is Jack's 3rd runner, Diamond Mine, and his groom, Carl Lowther, has won the £50 given by the Doncaster Bloodstock Sales for the best turned out horse in the race. 3rd in the Windsor Castle Stakes to Isdar, and previously a winner of 4. A very, very quick starter, this.
Runs in the colours of Peter Saville. Peter Saville, who's a Polish Patriot, runs in his colours as well. And in fact, Polish Patriot is 100% better now since he's had the pins put in, Julian. That'll please people. I see we've got a loose one there. Did you catch what it was?
Looks like Sandcastle City to me. No, it's not. It's Darrell Holland who's on the floor. That's Darrell Holland, the rider of Rockbourne. Well, Darrell started the day pretty well with that wide margin success in the first race on Supreme Choice, but this little filly, who's just a little whippet of a filly, as you can see, there wasn't much probably for Darrell to hold on to, and I'm afraid she's off down the course.
Got very worked up, as you can see, Julian. She's got quite a lot of sweat on her, and she's coming gradually back up towards the winning post, back up towards the stand without a jockey. Darrell. John Hills trains this filly at Lambourne. He'll be trying to get out onto the course, I would think, to get her. She hasn't come back at a full tilt. She's only just sort of wandering back up, and if they can get her... Oops. And, well, if we can get her back down there, I think could take a part in the race, Julian.
Yes, she hasn't done anything silly yet, has she? And it's amazing how often the ones that get loose seem to be the least affected by it all, and the ones who have to hang around at the start on a hot day get most affected. But she's just enjoying herself, hacking around, and she can't quite make up her mind whether to go back to her friends or whether to come back to the stables. Most of them have jumped off now. That's number 6, Arthur Hombus, the 2nd favourite, and 11,000 guineas yearling at Doncaster. Second to Well Beyond, who was receiving £12 over 5 furlongs at Sandown last time. That was a good run. Paul Eddery riding at his minimum, 7 stone 13, and this horse was previously a winner of another auction event at Sandown.
Likes a very tough track, this little fellow, and I think we'll see him. He'll appreciate Newbury's pretty hard, five furlongs. I think, as you were saying, Julian, a little bit earlier on, we've got some real fast animals in the race. I think we're in for a very fast time.
Well, they're cornering her up, and Darryl Holland's not far away, and I think she's going to be sensible, this girl, and allow herself to be caught. Darryl's going to give her a pick of grass, and I think that'll be probably the persuading factor of this daughter of Midian. Made such a good start as a stallion, but no, she's not very impressed by the grass.
She was a little bit edgy in the paddock just before Darryl actually got aboard her. But I think she's having a little bit of a game with them now, as you see. She's not doing too much damage to herself. The handlers and the spectators and the groundsmen are trying to get round her, but she's having none of it. She stands there nice and quietly for a little while, just as they're trying to put a hand on her rein. Off she goes again. It's rather funny how well a horse uses herself. Well, this filly, when she's loose, did you see her there? She was really using her. Here's Darryl just walking up to her. Darryl grabs hold of her nice and quietly, and one of the gate handlers will just leg him back in the saddle. As I say, I don't think too much harm's come to her, but as you can see there, she's pretty warm.
Well, that's it. Her little game's over, and let's hope she can now step up on her first run at Salisbury, which was a really good run. She was second to David Ellsworth's runner Memu in a 5 furlong race there. And of course she's got the minimum weight today of 7 stone 8, although Darryl Holland can't claim his £3 allowance because this is a race in excess, value in excess of £8,000, so apprentices can't claim. This is Sandcastle City, one of Richard Hannon's 2 runners, the mount of Pat Hiddery, and he's rather won twice at Windsor, twice within a week. Useful horse and quite a nice looking horse by Formidable.
Quite a lot of the jockeys went without breakfast this morning. I'd say most of the jocks ride in the 13 runners because a very low scale of weight race. Lester Pickett doing 8.6, and I think we'd ever see Lester Pickett doing 8.6 again. And Pat Hiddery on Sandcastle City, we're looking at quite well down the handicap, or I should say the condition race, with 8 stone 5.
The blinkered grey is Wild Rufo, the son of Sherwood, and Lord Carnarvon, whose brainchild this race was. He'd be anxious to see this horse run well because he stands Sherwood at his Highclere stud, and his form's been pretty good. He was on place in the Coventry Stakes at Ascot, but before that he was a nice winner at Newmarket. Willie Carson, the rider. Now here's an outsider in the background, Lay Jazz Hot, unplaced at Leicester, trained by Michael Jarvis, and Michael Jarvis is one of 3 Newmarket trainers who has an open day tomorrow in aid of racing welfare. William Jarvis and William Haggis are the 2 other trainers. All those stables are in the Fordham Road, and it all begins at 10 o'clock in the morning. No better way to spend a sunny Sunday morning.
This filly showed a lot of speed on her debut. She finished 9th, 12 lengths off of the winner. She'll know more about the sport today, and I think she's going to improve a lot. She could have a little bit of an outside squeak.
Now here's another possible outsider, Harvest Girl, trained by Gavin Pritchard-Gordon for his brother Giles, a daughter of Thatching. Gavin very cleverly bought her for just 6,000 guineas in Ireland, and she turned over a real hot pot at the July course last week, or yeah, it was last week, wasn't it, when she beat Brecon Beacons, a very highly regarded filly owned by Prince Khalid Abdullah. That was over 6 furlongs. She comes back to 5 today. She'll be a bit outpaced early on, and probably the ground will be lively enough for her, but I think she'll be picking him up at the end, and this filly's got a bit of talent. At
Newmarket, she was always just off the pace. She did show a lot of speed, but as Julian says, that she's coming back a furlong today. But the Newmarket July 6 actually is quite an easy one. She's got a harder 5 to tackle here. Should be able to manage it. A little bit on her toes, as you can see. She'll be coming out of stall 6 with Jimmy Quinn in the saddle. There's a very good picture actually of the start, just a little bit past the turn, as you can see, and a really lovely track and a very fair one too.
Latest betting.
And Paris House, the favourite, tightening slightly, 11 to 8. Or the Humbus 4 to 1. That's the same price as in the first show. Sandcastle City is 10 to 1, so it's a bit of magic. 14 to 1, 3 of them. In fact, there are 3 of them, yes. Wild Rufo 14s, Fair Crack 14, so is Harvest Girl, and from 14 to 1 to 16 to 1, Diamond Mine. Same price as that, 16 to 1, Miss Nosy Parker, 20 to 1 bar.
And this is Richard Hannon's third runner. I said he'd got 2, but he's got 3, and this one's just shortened in the betting. Miss Nosy Parker, a daughter of Cyrano de Bergerac, a winner at Kempton over 5 furlongs in April, and hasn't been seen out since then. The ground was soft that day. Nikki Carlisle rides, and interesting to see the support for her.
That day she won at Kempton. In fact, Willie Carson was in the saddle. She wandered a bit when it mattered, but Willie picked her up and gave her a little slap down the shoulder. She went and did the job well. She's 16 to 1 from 20s. Nikki Carlisle, well, there's no better lightweight than Nikki, and he'll get the best out of this filly today. That's Miss Nosy Parker, drawn 10.
It's grand to see such a competitive field for this innovative race, which is very much a boost for people who buy fairly cheap horses at public auction. And obviously this autumn's going to be a vital time for vendors. And this has been a collective effort by the major sales houses in liaison with Newbury and Lord Carnarvon to put on a really attractive race for the cheaper type of horse, the type of horse that vendors hope will be bought this autumn, despite the recession and the effect of the recession on British racing, which we've heard so much about in recent months, and which has seen a reduction of £6 million in prize money offered in racing next year because of the fall off in betting turnover. As you can see, Rockbourne has arrived at the post in one piece and looks not much the worse for her exertions.
Darrell Holland has got his feet out of the arms, a little bit of a hold up because of this filly. Rockbourne have got loose, but now they're down there. They're walking round behind the stalls. They'll soon be loading the 13 runners up for this, the richest prize ever run at Newbury, £57,260 to the winner, in fact. And there they are, wandering round behind the stalls. And well, as Julian was saying, I think we'll see them come down the middle of the track here today, and so the draw really won't have any effect. I would think that since they've narrowed this track up, in the old days the stand side used to be much more fancied, but now since they've narrowed the track down near the winning post, they're winning from all draws.
Going back to the previous race, the plans outlined by Charlie Nelson for the most impressive winner, Arctic Tracker, is that his next race would either be in the Solaria Stakes at Sandown or in the Champagne Stakes at Donkston in September.
13, lads.
This is one we haven't seen. Primo Domini filly Freni, another cheap, a very cheap yearling this, trained by Mark Usher, and she'd certainly need to show a lot of improvement to have a chance here.
Yeah, she looks a little bit outgunned. She's got Robert Street in the saddle. Robert, who rides a lot of the work, most of the work for Barry Hills at Lambourne and John Hills. A very capable jockey, but absolutely one of the best work riders I'd say I've ever come across. He can tell a trainer exactly how a horse is when they're working up the gallops before they come onto the racecourse. He's a very valuable assistant to any trainer. Goes into her stall, number 11.
Come on, jockey, keep coming.
Unfortunate this delay, because as so often happens, horses that were perfectly well behaved have now got rather fussed by the delay, the long wait at the start, and one or two of them are on edge, but half of the field in now. Harris House shortening all the time. When the anti-post market opened, he was a 5-2 shot. He's now down to 5-4 to give Jack Berry his 105th winner of the season. 4-1, a solid second best, Autohumbus. Then it's 10-1, the Richard Hannon number 1, Sandcastle City, and the Jack Berry number 2, Bit of Magic, and 14-1 Bar. And there is the favourite, just jibbing a little bit at going in the stalls. Look at those ears going. Son of Patong, who in turn was the son of Mummy's Pet. That was Fair Crack being installed, or just about to be installed, but backing out now. The one that was backed at 25-1 in the office this morning. Those colours will be carried tomorrow in the Prix Robert Papin at Maison Lafitte by Showbrook, the impressive winner of the July Stakes. Judy Grange in the background saying, come on everyone, for goodness sake, let's get this off, because they're 10 minutes late now.
Ready? Go.
This is a little bit of a worrying time, Julian, because usually one of the other 2-year-olds will spook up a bit, hit the steel pipe in, and that sets the lot off. So most of the jockeys now are working really hard to keep their charges nice and settled in the gate, because they've got to concentrate on those stalls. People think it's rather easy to come out of the stalls in a straight line. Believe you me, it's not. You've only got to get a horse bouncing backwards and they can lose up to 2 or 3 lengths. But noise is the essence. They like to try and keep it very quiet in there. They have got a bit of a rattle and clash when you're in there. And as Julian was saying, a lot of these being a little bit naughty. That's Harvest Girl, who'll be going into stall 6 with Jimmy Quinn. She goes in nice and quietly, but they are inclined to get a little bit sulky if they're out too long.
Henry Cecil's runner in the first year yesterday, Pursuit of Love. He went down right on his knees as he came out of the stalls, but they're all in now. Yes, Peter.
Yes, that's Autumn Hombus nearest to us, and that's sitting there away and over on the far side. Paris House is one of the first to strike. Paris House over on the far side, with on the near side, though, Regal Chimes taking it up, and it's Regal Chimes now the leader. Regal Chimes the clear leader from Paris House in second. Author Hombus is third on the inside. Then comes Diamond Mine, Wild Rufo the Grey, and then Harvest Girl just in behind them, and then Fair Crack. Behind Fair Crack is Miss Nosy Parker. Bit of Magic is a long way behind the remainder at the moment, and it's still Regal Chimes the leader from Paris House in second. Then on the near side comes Author Hombus with Harvest Girl right up there too. Fair Crack also one in the fighting line, and Wild Rufo. They come to the halfway mark, and as they do so, it's Regal Chimes the leader from Paris House, and the Sheepskin Noseband over on the far side. Harvest Girl is next, and then Miss Nosy Parker. Author Hombus has lost ground, and Paris House has taken it up now as they hit the furlong pole. It's Paris House the leader over on the far side from Harvest Girl, putting in a tremendous challenge inside the final 150 yards. Paris House from Harvest Girl. Harvest Girl beginning to get up, and Paris House holding her as they race towards the line. Paris House is going to win it. Miss Nosy Parker putting in a tremendous finish on the near side, but Paris House has won it from Harvest Girl, with a photo for third between Fair Crack, Harvest Girl and Miss Nosy Parker. Last, incidentally, was Les Jas Hot. So the winner, number 5, Paris House, owned by Mr. P.E.T. Chandler, trained by Jack Berry, who started the day on the 103 mark, a real icing on the cake here.